the first to know Nsem-Pii TV.
I was for enche ena be breaki edema Nsem-Pii TV ashofo ene etifo say American President Donald Trump or the Ghana aka some 24 other African countries be ena or de visa restriction any travel ban be ato yeso na obi ebisa say emunchiri mu pa anything because Ghana ya qualify for a World Cup, yes, of which we are going to go there. But here being the case, opinion say or the travel ban no or the yaka na edi benti ana opinion no edi yaka ho enne emunchemu aba beto idwa na enne Elvis Dako ono oye editor News Center newspaper ono ena chese odi enchemu aba because he nani twa say opinion e ban say artist bi say dia oye ho ade papa oye ho analysis ni ye na eno ana wo chese sa enchemu no Samuel Okudzeto ablakwa foreign minister onim ni na so washeda on pese obetie ni edi akere ne no ena chese opanyini Elvis Dako ewo abra okopiem one of the TV stations ewo my Ghana mu ana chese odi the main reason behind Ghana travel ban ne visa restrictions chese Donald Trump no American president edi yaka ho odi agu akono so na me kra mete ye kra no meyam ahme because Ghana ya qualify World Cup eno nkoda nchen obi nim se Donald Trump oni on my Ghana so oni ani nhia wo se de be you in fact me che ho yenkotie ensem a Elvis Dako gu akono so e wabra no wo chire mu ekwan ya Donald Trump on my Ghana aka travel ban no ehun.
I'll start with you. I've seen that you've carried a story on this, and especially those living in the States illegally and what it means for them. Clearly there's a danger ahead.
Well, I don't know how you describe danger ahead.
We say
we are all sovereign countries. The sovereign countries do things that are in the interest of their country.
Yeah.
I've been searching and I found some of the reasons why they are adding these 36 countries. At least we have 60 days to meet their demands.
Right.
And per additional information that I have seen, they have submitted or have had discussions with countries based on what they expect each country or why they want to put them on the ban.
Yeah.
So as I'm sitting, I'm sure in my mind that the Foreign Affairs Minister knows exactly why we are being added to that list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the issues that they have, the memo says they are calling for immediate to address shortcomings in border control data and vetting systems or risk-facing visa restrictions or outright bans. Some of the concerns are lack of a competent or cooperative government by some of the countries listed to produce reliable identity documents. Do you know what that means? I will come back to them.
Well.
Some countries are not cooperative in facilitating the removal of its nationals from the United States who are ordered to be removed.
Right.
Nationals of the countries were involved in acts of terrorism in the United States or anti-Semitism and anti-American activities. The Department of State is committed to protecting their nation and its citizens. So let me come to the first one that I mentioned, lack of a competent or cooperative government by some of the countries listed to produce reliable identity documents.
Right.
The first ban that came, the U.S. government released a long list of countries and the number of their citizens that are on ICE lists for deportation.
Right.
In that list, the number of Ghanaians on that list to be deported is 3,228.
You don't say.
Yeah. The ICE list, as at the beginning of the year, in January when the U.S. released it, 3,228 Ghanaians are on the ICE list to be deported. What this means is that there's people that are to be deported. Most of them, or many of them, have thrown away documentation as to who they are. But because they entered the country with visas and the rest, the U.S. knows which countries' passports they use to enter the country.
Right.
So they are able to determine that these are the people who entered the U.S. with Ghanaian passports. So they are Ghanaians. Right. Because a passport is issued to only citizens of a country. So if they are on ICE list and they are to be deported, they need documents that will enable them to travel back to Ghana. These documents are to be issued by Ghana to them because their passports are either expired or some of them don't actually have. But because they have their data, because they control their visa system, they know that this person came in with a Ghanaian passport. So they ask countries that produce document, what you call a travel document, either passport or travel document, for these people so that they can be deported back to the countries they came from, per their passport of travel. What this means is that Ghana is supposed to produce documents for these 3,288 people. The suspicion I have is that Ghana is refusing to produce the documents for these people to enable America to deport them. Because as a country, we also have the right to say we will not provide a document. And by the UN convention, you can't deport anybody without a travel document. You can't send anybody to a country without a travel document. It's not a travel document determine which specific country the person is being sent to. So if Ghana refuses to provide the people documentation, what it means is that the US can't deport them. So the people are remaining in ICE detention and becoming crisis for the country. And I believe that is one reason why Ghana is on that list. I believe this is why we are on the list. And see, people will give the excuse that but many of those people may not be Ghanaians. The American doesn't know who is a Ghanaian or who is not a Ghanaian. Once you travel in Ghanaian passport, you are a Ghanaian. So if our passport system is so weak for nationals of other countries to access it and travel with it, the American doesn't know who is a Ghanaian, Burkinabe, Nigeria, or anything. What he knows is that you entered with a passport from Ghana. And passports are issued to citizens of the country. Only citizens of the country use a passport. So for them, it's the passport the person has entered the country with. So if the person entered America with a Ghanaian passport, whether it's another national who has come for Ghanaian passport, the US can only deport that person to Ghana, because of that. And because the person's passport is expired or the person has thrown it away, though their system show that the person came in with a Ghanaian passport, the person cannot return to Ghana without any paper in hand. So Ghana government will be required to the foreign ministry and the embassies in the US to provide these people with the necessary documentation, either a new passport or what they call a travel document to bring them back. And I believe Ghana is not doing this. That is why they are adding this to the travel ban. The second one is about the anti-Semitism and anti-American activities and terrorism. I don't believe that Ghana is being added to this terrorism, but I believe that anti-Semitism will may be added. What they call anti-Semitism is there are groups in the US that have been put on US national security list as groups that are doing everything possible to make America unstable. They said the intention of these groups in the US is to turn US into a chaotic state. That is what the security Institute of America have identified. And there are several groups that have identified. These groups most of the times are found participating in demonstrations. And they believe that those demonstrations are meant to destabilize the US. So for instance, when the Palestinian-Israeli war was going on, there were a lot of demonstrations on school campuses in the US. We have 9,394 Ghanaians studying in various universities in the US. So in the event that any of these students participated in those demonstrations on university campuses, which the American government has described as anti-Semitism actions, because they believe that those organizing those demonstrations across university campuses are the very groups that they have labeled as anti-Semitism groups who wants to destabilize the US. America. So if a Ghanaian participated in this demonstration, what it will mean is that the person is part of the group that wants to destabilize America. You see, the demonstration will be the one everybody knows, but the security apparatus of the US, they don't know why people are doing this. So a Ghanaian student may innocently think that, oh, maybe I support the cause of the reason for this demonstration and participate in it. But then they don't know that there are undertones in it. And for participating in that demonstration, the Ghanaian students may be deemed as part of those who are trying to destabilize America.
Yeah.
I have no information whether some Ghanaian students participated, but I'm saying that in terms of the anti-Semitism, in case any Ghanaian student took part in some of these demonstrations on school campuses, then they will be deemed as people who are participating in anti-Semitism. For me, really the reason, I think these are the two main reasons I think America is trying to do, because they want to deport the people who are on ICE lists out of the country,
but they don't know which country to send them to because
of the issues of documentation. So if Ghana is refusing to provide the documentation to them, then they are bringing the travel ban to force the government of Ghana to provide the documents to be able to deport these people. Between 2021 and 2024, 258 Ghanaians were deported from the US for various offenses such as criminal and other things, or overstay of their documentations. So we should understand that Ghana government needs to also consider some of these things. There are no reliable figures, but it's estimated that we may have between 30 to 50,000 Ghanaians who are living in the US illegally. We have those who are living legally amounting to almost 300,000 in the US currently. But it is expected that, or it's estimated that there are about 30 to 50,000 who are living there illegally. In the US, you can live there illegally for 20 years if you don't have problem with the law for them to find out what your documentation. There are many people who are living in the US who don't have any document. But until you have problem with the law, nobody is going to deal with you. But the Trump administration has brought in further stringent measures until the Trump administration came in and brought in this new demand of wherever you are going, carry your documentation around. It was not there. So you can be in the US for 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, and you have no documentation because nobody is going to meet you on the street and ask you of your document. But per the new directive of this Trump administration, for people to carry their documentation, law means that if you are met in town, any immigration official can ask you your citizenship or your document, whether you are legal in the US.
Thank you, Elvis.
As I said, the AG himself should be careful because his own reputation is at stake. Because if you are doing public press conferences, your utterances and things could hurt you. In the dropping of the major cases that they came to meet, one of the things said that he consulted the lawyers of the people being prosecuted. So if I'm being prosecuted or I have a client being prosecuted, and an AG comes, oh, do you think I have to prosecute this person or I should drop the case? Do you think I should tell that continue to prosecute the person? So for him to tell us publicly that he consulted the lawyers of the people being prosecuted, I think that the kind of things he say at some of these press conferences, he should sit back, or he need communication people, experts to sit back and be advising him and say, look, what you are doing, you may think you are carrying the public along, but if you are not careful, at the end of the day, the damage you cause to your own reputation as AG, you may never be able to repair it. Because if you tell me that you are dropping major corruption cases being tried before your party came to power, and as part of the processes to drop the case, you consulted lawyers of the people that are being prosecuted, and how do you expect the public who is listening to you to think about you?
But same public has the right to information.
I'm saying that you, the person, say, what do you think them to think about you? The public is not banned from having information. Information goes to the court. Once you file the court, become public information. If a journalist is interested, goes to pick the information, want to publish, it can publish. I'm saying that this media trial that are going on, he as an AG himself needs to be very mindful because the potential damages it could cause to his reputation. I'm pointing two things to him. That you said you were dropping major cases, and as part of the process, you consulted lawyers of the people being prosecuted. Anybody who is sitting back there listening, how can the AG say he has consulted people who have been prosecuted in order to drop a case? In my right sense, if I'm a lawyer defending somebody in court, and AG say, me, I'm a new government, I'm a new AG, I'm new AG, I want to ask you, do you think that I should continue prosecuting your client or not? You expect me to say, I should say no? So that statement itself, if people sit by and begin to analyze it and ask questions, it has some reputational issues for him. And for him to also come and say national service and MP has been involved, the MP has taken a bribe, that was the words he used. And then the person who suspected him came at you and leveled serious corruption allegations against you. And now you are asked what is the status of the investigation in terms of that
MP.
That MP. And I tell you, you are having discussion with the person to see whether you can use him for prosecution witness. And if you come and tell the person who is sitting back that so the person, because the person accused you, now you are thinking of making prosecution witness. Why will you take that decision? If will you take the same decision if the person are not level accusation against
you are covering up your own.
So you see the reputational damage to himself based on some of these releases, some of this press conference. I think he needs an expert communication to tell him that, look, AG, focus on your prosecution. If you convict people, Ghanaians will clap for you. We are not going to clap for you today because you are giving a press conference. If we clap for you today and you go to court and lose the case, the damage that you suffer will be bigger than the claps we are giving to you.